And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 99 of Global Citizens. My name is Kelvin. I am the show's host, and of course, I am also its creator. So, my guest for today actually have a really unique connection with me, and it's actually reflected in the title of this show in the earlier part, and that is "It's a How Small is a Small World After All." So my guest for today used to be a teacher who turned to become an expatpreneur. So from his experience as an educator and a range of businesses in countries in Southeast Asia that involve grassroots to policy making that help hone him to add value to the clients and communities whom he serves. So currently, he is a privacy and personal data protection practitioner who teaches and provides advisory business to organizations and corporations, and he is also an entrepreneur. So without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Mark Barnabas Lee. How are you, Mark?
Hello, I'm good. In your language is buy it.
Thank you,
Right.
thank you. Uh, yeah, close enough, close enough. I don't know why. After years, I actually start to emulate a Malay when saying bike. But the thing is that in Indonesia, originally it's bike. So A and E,
Ah,
E and I, yeah. It's just
yes.
different by a certain syllabus, but no worries. All right. So quite a fun fact, actually. So Mark actually started his education career in my alma mater, Vandermeer Secondary School. And in fact, in my freshman year or in my secondary 1 year, he was actually a teacher, but we've somehow, some way, we've never crossed paths. The thing is because I think he taught my seniors, so yeah, I didn't get to meet him at all. And back then, I can't really remember much. It was from 2008.
But I
So,
did I did teach one class.
oh, which one?
I really don't
Do you remember?
recall. I
You
don't
really don't
recall
remember.
really.
See,
Yes.
even you also don't remember. Yeah, but that was quite a fun connection actually because
Interesting it was.
yeah, it was really interesting. And in fact, I actually know a lot of his colleagues, some of the people that is his friends. So yeah, I hope to see them when the video is already released on my Facebook page. All right.
Yes.
All right, Mark. So I'll just jump into your first question. Okay.
Sure.
So this is actually something that I think you can view it from both sides of as both an educator and as an entrepreneur. Yeah. So
Yeah,
please rank
I'll
this.
share I will share when I'm talking about educator and when I'm an entrepreneur. I think sometimes I ask myself, am I schizophrenic? Because I got to think of two things at the same time, and sometimes two views actually contradict, but otherwise sometimes they go alongside. So it's sometimes quite challenging.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So okay, I want you to rank this according to you to which one you feel is most important. Sorry,
All right.
empathy, intelligence, and profit, immediate profit. Which one do you
Right.
think is actually most important in today's society, and why?
Well, I'll speak for myself first, and then the answer for society. For myself, it will be for first thing to empathize, and then for intelligence, and then for profit.
Okay.
Why do I say that? Because in business, in business, I first need to empathize and understand what my customers' needs are or what they want to buy and want from me or my team, then have the intelligence to go and search, research, find out, discover, or even to create what the customers want, and then the profit will automatically just come in. It's a bit of application of design thinking for those of our viewers who are familiar with the concept of design thinking. So that is for my context right now. And when you say for society, well, that's a very big question. So I would say it's really the context again of the person whom you're asking. For the person who is in a situation whereby they ain't enough food, there ain't enough supplies, then I think probably the immediate need is money. Give me money so I can feed myself, unless they're in a location where money will make a difference. But if you are in a society that needs has a lot of opportunities to improve, let's say a quite laid back society, or quite a society is quite far behind in terms of technology, then perhaps intelligence would be much sought after. So I think it's the context.
Okay, okay. Thanks for emphasizing that part. Okay, before I carry on, for those of you who are watching this for the very first time, Global Citizens is an e-platform. It's a weekly live stream whereby I invited people who has experienced the multicultural life, and primarily it advocated third culture kids such as myself, and somebody who actually grew up outside of his own passport country and parents' culture. However, I also find that after a while, I need to represent all form of multicultural lives and multicultural issues and people of different background. So yeah, why I actually do this is because I want people to understand what is this life about. It's not an easy extended vacation that whereby we spend every single day in a Boracay beach or in Bali. It's not. Uh, this is a life whereby we have to learn to appreciate other cultures, and it's not something whereby we can impose our very own. And also, it's because it's a life whereby we have to transform who we are internally. It's because we just try to fit in with some new culture. But the thing is that because we have two very opposing point of view, sometimes we may not be able to adjust quite well enough. So this is something that I hope people could be more aware of. All right. So back to Mark again. So yeah, earlier you mentioned on the term context. Yeah, I'm glad
Yes.
you mentioned that. So recently there has been a lot of issues whereby things such as maybe diversity or culture could be challenged. And in fact, in Singapore, embarrassingly, there was an incident whereby an educator
Yes.
apparently went went on a rant to a biracial couple. This is really, really sad, and it's really, really embarrassing to see. And have as somebody who grew up in the Lion City, that is something I did not expect to ever happen. I mean, sad to say, racism is existed everywhere. But the thing is that I didn't expect that something like this could ever happen in Singapore, which has always been a multicultural country. So, in terms of context, though, I mean, we can't tell people to change the way they live. We can't tell them immediately that everything is just going to be better. So you follow how I do my stuff. But the thing
Yep.
is that from your experience, because I recall you have some business in the Philippines and in Malaysia, right?
Yes, I do.
So okay, what has been a challenge though for you when you are encountering the new culture, and what have you learned about yourself, and how can you communicate with people of the differing mindset, if you want to call it?
Well, I would say when I first started out as a entrepreneur after I left the education system in Singapore, maybe a short context. I've always been in a very protected environment. I grew up in a very I would say middle class family, and the schools I go to are typically the very safe schools, you call it in Singapore, because they are slightly quite well known schools, and life has been kind of like simple. So when I started to do business overseas, as you mentioned, in Philippines, India, and even in Malaysia, one thing I didn't expect to be shocked at was culture. So I tell you, I really understand what it means by culture shock, literally. All right, and I could just recall my most crazy incident, and this actually happened in India. This is the
In
one
India?
that got me. Yeah, in India, it got me really like
Okay.
really thinking really hard. And this is what happened. I was doing work in South India. So South India, this is year 2004, even before I went into teaching. Yeah, I was actually doing some repair work on the printer and got my hands inked. So the right hand was terribly dirty, and I got a left hand that was clean. And lo and behold, some lady walked in. knock, 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 came in, and I invariably offered her my left hand to shake hand. She
Oh.
stared at me. She muttered something in a language that I couldn't understand, and she kind of walked out. Well, she was very cross. For those of you listening in, you are laughing because you know, right? No,
I have a fun experience before when I was in India is because, right, when we actually, I went for an overseas trip when I was in the National Cadet Corps years ago, and apparently somebody told me, you know that actually the rag that they used to wipe the windows is the same rag that they actually used to wipe the plates, and all of us were like, what? And surprisingly, I am the only one who did not get a food poisoning, and I actually joked to my family is that thank God I grew up in Indonesia since
strong stomachs. Yes,
yes it
that's the
is.
problem.
Thank
That's the
goodness.
problem when you come to a country that's too clean. So, do you guys know what's wrong with offering a left hand to shake? It is
Yeah.
just purely rude. It's downright rude, and in fact, I was told that it was an insult to actually offer the left hand to anybody to shake. And in fact, at that time, shaking hands with ladies is actually not so condoned in
Yeah.
society. Usually goes like namaste, but offering a left hand is just no because, or for listeners out there who are not aware, especially my Westerner friends, remember this: the right hand to eat, okay, eat. The left hand to wipe. You understand
Yeah.
that? So right, eat, left, wipe. So right hand cannot use for anything else. And in fact, I asked some people there, and they tell me if you use the left hand to eat, even on some formal occasions, everyone will stare at you because it is deemed rude. And it's not just okay, of course, it could be Muslim, but it has become cultural. And that was one big boo where I realized, what the hell just happened? And I was like, oh, okay. And I told myself, young and stupid, no more. Will always remember that for life. And that's just one incident. Now, how about closer to home? This other incident I'm going to share you happened in Malaysia. You asked about Malaysia. This happened
Yep.
in Malaysia. And I was running an event.
Okay.
And most events, well, we are very good with service, and we help to prepare name tags for our participants. And then we wrote the names in different colors because we said, hey, maybe we should just do a simple team building activity where we get them into teams by writing the names in different colors.
Okay.
So we wrote the names in, well, nice purple, blue, green, yellow,
Wait,
not so
wait.
good.
Can you show the colors again? Can you show the colors?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I get where's gonna be the issue here.
And then it came to this color. So you wrote some participant's name in red. So we're like, so we had a nice little table where all the name tags were all in different colors. So they come to the registration table, they would sign name, and here, sir, your name tag. Sir, here, ma'am, your name tag. And then it came to one particular middle age, not old, middle age, like 40s, 50s. And then he took he signed his name as usual, Mr. something something something, and then we gave him his name tag, and he saw the name tag. The name was written in red ink. He started scolding the staff on the table. And I was like, what the hell just happened again? For those of you listening in, do you know why? How about you know why, Calvin? Are you aware?
I thought it's a different issue actually.
Oh, really?
Why the different color? I really
Oh,
thought it was
okay.
LGBTQ related actually.
Oh, okay.
Why?
It was not
I thought it's
LGBT.
LGBTQ related actually because during those times that's during those times it's a big no. But for the red one, I don't. I think I've heard before, but I might be wrong. So maybe you can give a context about that.
So after the event, I asked a senior, and I asked, what's wrong with writing names in red? Because I mean, like, look, I mean, there's so many colors, right? I mean, nice primary colors, no RGB, right? Red, green, and blue, right? So I said, what's wrong with red? He said that if you the only time a name is written in red is when the person is dead. Yes, that was exactly my reaction. Like, OMG. I mean, like, even in this era, and this is 2008, 09. It's like, hey, we are already post millennial, and like, I wouldn't think this would be a big issue. I mean, I've noticed tombstones where names are written in red, but I wouldn't think that people would really mind on the name tag. And we're like, yeah. So snap for the second time culturally. And then I was told that it's not just in Malaysia, it's not just Chinese, but apparently are there other cultures who also have this practice, names being written in red. So now whenever I run an event, I tell myself, you all better no red ink. So whenever I see this kind of red markers, I'll like, this one you better not use red color.
I didn't know that. No,
now you know.
No, the thing is that I thought I encountered something similar. You see, red is one of my favorite colors. So
it is mine
like,
too.
if there's a chance, of course I will use it. So the thing is that I recall there was some people who actually give me a glare before, but the thing is that I didn't think into it too much anyway, and I didn't interact with them at all. So okay, I'll just move on. But the thing is I didn't get it. But now you give me the context about it. Okay, this is new.
So you see, it's also my favorite color. And in fact, in most of my emails, when I signed off, it's like almost red. So now I changed it brown. So culture is really, really important. And I'm so glad you're talking about it, because these are two big boo-boos that I've made in my own almost professional life, right? And this is like etched deeply in my mind, and trust me, I'll never forget these two incidents. So culture in the work, yes, I think in terms of culture, the first thing is really to understand, and it's not easy sometimes, especially if you are an expat and you're going to a country for the first time, and even from Malaysia. When I first started doing business in Malaysia, Singapore and Malaysia neighbor, and we have a similar heritage. But trust me, there are some pockets of communities where it could be different, yeah? So you cannot just assume, because when you assume, or when we assume, we make an ass out of you and me.
Okay. Okay. Even the one that is quite nearby. What about in Philippines? Any fun story from that?
Philippines, I was more prepared for Philippines because I only went to Philippines in 2016, so I was kind of more prepared, right? For like, okay, be aware, so that some tips, be aware, ask the locals. So I usually would ask the locals advice. Hey, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? So fortunately for me, I didn't get any major learning experiences in Philippines. But there's one thing that kind of made me a bit angsty, and maybe I'll just share quickly. And it's a very common thing for people in Philippines to just use Messenger. I don't know about your country, but I always wondered, why don't people just reply to SMS? Then I understand, because SMS must pay money. Messenger is free to use in the Philippines because it's a free version of Facebook. Just as long as you're connected to the internet, you can actually reply a message by Messenger. So this is part of culture as well, because even in the digital age, there are culture. Come on, in Indonesia and Singapore, we all use WhatsApp, but there are some countries that use other messaging tools. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
So that
in China, we chat.
Yes, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And surprisingly, in America, AOL is still quite prevalent. You know that?
Yeah. In Asia, what on earth is AOL?
Yeah, I remember that when I had an episode with Dr. Ruth Van Rieken, who is considered the mom of the TCK community. She told me, "Hey, for any of the stuff that you need me, send this to my AOL." I'm like, "What's an AOL? I don't know what's an
There you
AOL."
go.
I was like, "You kidding me? That's you. Your episode is like one of like a landmark occasion, is because it was the last episode for my 2020, and at the same time, I mean, she is somebody who is revered within my audience. My audience. So I'm like, okay, I have to make sure it's done well." But then when all the stuff that I need to send to her, she told me, send it to this. I'm like, what the heck is an AOL? I need to ask all my contacts. It's like, what's an AOL, guys? How do I send it? Thank God she actually still read her messenger at that time. So I just sent everything there. One shot. That's it. Thank
So
God.
culture is not something that is for the ancients. Culture also applies in today's technological age, yeah.
Oh, dear God. Yeah. I think in a
Strange, but
sense
true.
that I think it's quite funny in the sense that you mentioned that is because I think culture adapts. Technology could be adapted in a culture in the way of life, like it's interpreted in a unique way. I recalled before somebody told me that in the Philippines, like the internet 500 MB in the Wi-Fi is considered big,
That
and
is
we're like,
really
huh?
big. Yes.
It's really big,
I'm not kidding.
really?
Because my friend came to me, hey Mark, okay, guess what? I've got a 200 Mbps in my office. Come to my office is Wi-Fi. I went like, in Singapore, my home is 1 Gbps. He went like, okay, I'll just shut up now. But Wi-Fi, a bit because of its infrastructure. I'm sure in countries that are, I mean, we in Singapore, I mean, you are also in Singapore. Singapore is only 42 kilometers east to west, 32 kilometers north to south. So people who live in Singapore only previously would like not appreciate the convenience and the beauty of being small because it's easy to manage and easy to control. But once we get out of Singapore, it's really different. And for most of our viewers out there, if you are in a bigger country, you will know. I would slap some kid now if it tells me half an hour travel so far. Are you kidding me? Half an hour? Half an hour is really like nearby, right? I mean, come on, for those of our viewers, half an
No,
hour, that's
try to go South Korea. One station from one end takes at least like around 45 minutes to an hour. Uh,
exactly.
yeah. Okay, okay. All right. I can talk about this the whole day, but
Yes,
okay.
that's context for you.
In fear that I might lose half of, if not all, my broadcast time here. But the thing is that okay, okay. There's definitely a lot of things that we can talk about appreciating different countries' culture, and of course how we have to adapt to it. Because at the end of the day, well, when you are in Rome, you learn to play by the rules of Rome, right?
Exactly, exactly.
But for your case, though, what is your experience with reverse culture shock? Like after you experience all of this, and then you come back to Singapore, what do you learn more about yourself actually, and also about what do you appreciate more about your home?
I think the biggest take back from traveling and living abroad is to appreciate, partly because being brought up in Singapore, being brought up in my home country, I believe it's probably similar to many. When I go back to my comfortable space in Singapore, uh, well, it's like, oh, back to home, right? And I'm sure
Yeah,
everybody has a home and a place where you are like, oh, this is what is usually, or how I'm used to. So coming back to my home country makes me comfortable, and I began to appreciate the beauty of or the convenience about everything. And yet sometimes I also feel that there's also charm in different places and different cities that I lived in. I mean, every city has different charms, and people live in different cities, and they all cope. Everyone copes with the environment, and that I think makes humans or humanity very interesting. We are able to cope with the situation. Sometimes we destroy too much also lah. So that happens true as well. We cope too much, and then we make things comfortable for ourselves, but we forget about the greater environment around us. And sometimes we also might affect the local community. And today, culture extends to, well, like I said, the older way of things are done. But it shouldn't be said about older, how things are whether young or old, but really what is useful and what can be what should be kept and what needs to evolve.
Yeah. Okay, okay. That's interesting about that. Okay. I actually need to ask this. So, when in one of my past episode, one of my guests who actually has, she's actually one of the 3 or 4 people who I know surpassed my number of years that has stayed in Singapore compared to me. So, kudos to her for that. No, but okay. The reason why I remember her question well is because she said this line before. I think in moving forward, in things that people recognize as a soft skill, like
Mhm.
intercultural communication, or even such as a basic human instinct, such as empathy, it needs to be put in the forefront. As because a lot of times in our society, we tend to focus more on people mastering the hard skill, like
Yep.
things that is of course used for labor trade skill. What is your take on this, though? And from your experience abroad, what do you think could contribute to Singapore's progress? Because as much as I love the Lion City, I grew up there most of my life. I've done the big threes that every Singaporean sons go through. Yes, one of my recent photo is me wearing my SAF my uniform during my national service days. It's just during SAF day. As much as I love her, at the same time, there are certain things that I just felt sometimes it's incredibly disappointing, if you want to call it, is because I really feel that it's something that could have just been done a lot quicker if we have done it this way, or it's something that makes much more sense. It's not because of a system, because we are just humans. This is just something that we could have done, but because there is a certain system that's already put in place, and sometimes people you can't really blame them because it's their job. You don't want to lose their job, so they have to follow it, even and they can't be flexible about it. So, what do you feel though could have been done to help Singapore's progression after your time abroad?
Well, I'll speak for Singapore first and in general for the youth of the world. But first thing for Singapore, I mean, I think it's very tough being the government of Singapore, and I really appreciate my government enough because while we have to
Shout out to the
grapple with,
government. Shout out to the
yeah,
government. I know I
so,
have several of them. I have several MPs in my Instagram.
oh,
So
really,
shout out to the
but
government.
but really, it's tough because you have to handle changing and demanding expectations of citizens who expect 10,001 things. Uh, Maybe because of entitlement, perhaps, but that's a topic for another day. But really, I think it's because it's a very small country with zero natural resources. And I joke about it. That, we're so horribly impoverished in terms of resources that we can't even have our own water. So bad that we drink our own piss. Yes, to our friends overseas, we literally drink our own piss because we have a factory. I mean, we have a plant that actually converts our piss into drinking water.
Yeah, it's the new
Yeah.
water. Yeah, I remember about it. I think in 2004, my first year in Singapore, my first ever National Day, there was such a big publicity about it. I'm like, what's the big deal about it? It's water. I mean,
Yeah, but
okay,
it's our piss.
it's like water. Only then years later that I found out, oh, that's why. Okay. Yep.
So Singapore is pretty proud of that. So I mean, from this context, understand the context that Singapore is a country with zero natural resources, so bad that we don't even have water. That's how pathetic this 42 by 32 kilometer country really is. And because of that, everything we have, food, resources, it's imported. The only thing we have is human resource. So a lot of emphasis is gone to, like what you say, hard skills. Because back then in the industrialized age, in the 80s, in the 90s, what needs to be done? We need to produce. When you need to produce, all you need is work, work, work. And you want more value items, then you got to use more value skills. That's why semiconductors come in, machines come in, and that's where the emphasis becomes an even overemphasis perhaps on hard skills and the lack of soft skills sometimes. And even now today, Singapore being a country with only human resource, the sentiments will always to be okay. Youth get trained in certain area so that you can get a job, you can progress, you can contribute to your country, you can make a living. Because I mean, think of it this way: every government would have one very important KPI, and that is to ensure people are duly employed, have money to survive, and have some form of sustenance and then lifestyle. I think that every government always seeks for that, because the moment people are unhappy, government falls, and we see it all over the world. It's not exceptional to just that country, but every country. And now in Southeast Asia, we know about the Myanmar country that is going through many issues, and I'm sure every country in Southeast Asia has gone through some form of turbulence. Let me calculate. Yeah, every country in Southeast have gone through some political turbulence, and Singapore is not an exception as well. And that's the reason why I believe the government has a very tough job to take care of this country. So in the whole world, culture is also very important, because we are living in this globalized marketplace now. And today, I mean, it's amazing that thanks to technology, we have Calvin, who's sitting down in his home in Jakarta. I'm here in Singapore, and we are streaming this live through StreamYard on Facebook and YouTube. And in YouTube, wherever you are, whatever time zone you could be watching in, and that's just amazing thanks to technology. So if we had said the wrong things on live digital TV or media, we might offend someone of the other culture. And that's where we have to be mindful. So that's where the youth of today have to understand culture of the other party, and not and use a lot of empathy and research to gather all this knowledge before we do something very serious. Because if not, there'll be a clash in working styles, working practices. So culture, it's a very important topic, and it's great that you're talking about culture, especially for someone like you who have grown up in Singapore, but you are, well, your parents are at least Indonesian, and you definitely speak perfect Indonesian, which I am kind of envious sometimes, somehow.
I can teach you, but the thing is that I only can use the elementary one. If you tell me to speak in slang, I'm as dumb as you in that area. I'm sorry.
But good enough, because language is really the first step in culture. And you know, when I was working in Malaysia, same thing for me. I learned Malay, but my Malay is interestingly only involved in the hospitality industry. It's vocabulary only.
Sudah makan atau belum? Have you eaten?
Dua bilik extra katil kind of thing, you know. It means
Yep.
2 rooms, extra bed kind of thing.
Two rooms.
Yeah.
Two rooms.
See?
Yep.
So the vocabulary is like contextual based on my work.
No, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I can speak Mandarin, but the thing is that it's more towards just a normal conversation. I mean, recently I've been trying to I'm trying to improve it a bit to be related to my work. But the thing is that if you tell me to explain something like a term of a contract in the full detail, there's no way I can get it done. It's because that's not within my area. So I kind of get what you mean.
那我就挑战你用中文来做这个 podcast 好吗？ Let me challenge you to use Mandarin for this video online, and then have subtitles in English for our international audience. 你们要吗？ You guys want that to have Calvin? Please
What?
go and put in the comments below. Have Calvin do one entire session in Mandarin, so that you're giving him a chance to also practice, you know.
还可以啊，可是我是要翻译吗？太多东西啦。
He says that do you need translation? Yeah, so that'd be cool, right? I mean, that's a challenge I'm going to give you, right? To do an entire session in Mandarin.
I'll edit that up. 1 minute
No!
was it? Okay. I have to notify my editor. No, I'm just kidding.
That'll be really fun. And then you see how the
really
Google Translate, how they translate automatically. Because I am actually doing that to myself. I mean, I grew up in like you, I grew up in Singapore, right? But I go to a school that, it's called Anglo minus Chinese school. So to all my ACS friends out there, hi. So Anglo minus Chinese, we joke about it because we are very Anglo, speak a lot of English, but less, if not no Chinese. So I grew up not using a lot of Mandarin, but I kind of regret it because when I start to go China for work, I'm like, oh gosh. So language is very important. So tip, if you want to do business in a particular country, get to learn some vocabulary.
Shout out to Anglo Chinese also. It's because I actually was at one point one of your technician. Yeah, years ago when I was in uni, I actually worked for NCS during the holidays. It is actually to update laptop system for school. So I actually went to ACS several times. You guys have fantastic food court, by the way. So
There's ACS in
okay,
Indonesia as well, by the way.
yes, there
In
is, there is,
Jakarta.
yes, there is.
Yes.
I passed by it, and in fact, at one point, my parents actually want to bring me back home, maybe to enroll me in ACS in Indo, but at that time I was already too ingrained to Singapore also, and they decided to just cancel it. It's because it might not be an easy cultural adjustment back to him. So yeah, that was an idea back then, but it's past already. I'm too old to go to ACS now anyway.
Well, your kids could when you do that.
Moving on.
All right. That's a very quick, clever way to move on. All right.
Of course, this is my show. I can do whatever I want.
I know, right?
All right. Okay. I actually want to touch a little bit now on your personal work. Yeah. So, goal or data? Which one do you think is much more important in today's world?
Gold, as in the precious metal, literally.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
The things that a golem from Lord of the Ring, if you guys don't know it, they will say my precious. All right.
Well, if you ask me personally, give me the money. Give me the gold.
Okay. Wow. That's
Because in Singapore, I can just I have the ability right now in my own hands to change gold to money, but I do not have the ability to change data into money because I do not have the instruments and the context to do it. Of course, but yet
okay.
in today's 21st century, a lot of people have been talking about this. Data is king. Data is a new black oil, and I believe that as well. Yet you have to be able to have the technology because data is just raw data is just data. It doesn't mean anything unless you can put the data through some form of analysis and interpretation to make that data useful. It's just like saying knowledge is power, but we have evolved. Applied knowledge is power. So raw data, it's not useful to a layman like me right now.
Yep.
But if I had the ability like Google, Grab, Uber, Facebook to convert that data to something useful or even financially useful, which is like some business model, then it might make sense.
Okay. Okay. Do you believe this line though, with reference to your previous career? Once a teacher is always a teacher, and also, sorry, the second part about that is that why the career shift, and why now you decided to venture into data analyst? I think your company, your company is called Data Protection Pal, yeah.
I guess I've got a business called Data Protection Pal where we actually provide advisory services and support to SMEs with regards to privacy. So I'll answer the first question first on being an educator. I believe that a true blue educator who believes in the essence and importance of education will continue to be an educator. And I'm sure many teachers out there who spend their entire lives teaching and educating. And one of the motivations of me leaving the ministry was because I felt that if I were to spend my whole entire career just teaching, then will I be giving real value to my students if I haven't experienced what's out there in the world? And what better way to experience than to just go into business? And also because at that time, I was already looking at doing some events. So it was kind of normal for me. I mean, it was for me. The motivation to leave the service and say, look, let me go out there and get all these knowledge and experiences and come back and share. And it's so amazing that today I'm sharing with a student, right? It's amazing as well. And some of my students continue to be students, and some of my students even become business partners and associates. Today, I have got a student of mine whom I taught physics 20 years ago. Today, he is teaching me about electric vehicles. So much for reverse mentoring. That is an actual example of reverse mentoring. So I remember telling him, I remember I checked your physics work. I remember I made you do your homework like 10 times because I was not happy with a particular graph that you drew. And today he's teaching me about graphs and how to read off certain graphs. Full circle, right? So I definitely
In
feel
a
that
sense, it's
as
a
an
beautiful irony. It's a beautiful
yes,
irony, actually.
perfect irony. And for me, I will continue to be an educator, and I believe that I like to call myself an educator in business. I can't speak the same for all educators, but for me, I'm an educator in business where education is more important than just making money. Because I believe in sharing and empowering. And the best way to empower someone is to educate someone. That's my answer for the first question. And on why data, the journey from doing events management and travel hospitality business evolved into data because of an intermediary in the middle that is a very important topic in business, and that's risk. I learned a lot about risk because I run several events. I actually operate and run a resort in Malaysia, which is at the foot of a mountain. It's known as Gunung Ledang, and it's one of the most hiked mountains in Malaysia. And when the mountain is the most hiked, there are bound to be many incidents, and some of them turn out to be also accidents. Some lead to injury. There are also others that lead to fatalities. So risk becomes very much part and parcel of our daily life in these operations, running high trips. I've even been to Everest. I brought a younger Singaporean, 13 years old, and the oldest person, 73 years old, to Everest Base Camp. So if you're not 73 years old, don't give me the excuse that you can't go base camp. All right, so a little bit of this advertisement. Yeah, so risk has been very much part of the business, but that was really physical risk. Then what about enterprise risk? What about business risk? So my business had a fair share of hits and misses, and the misses were very, very bad. And because we didn't anticipate on this, things that happen like, oh, we're having this pandemic right now. This thing has not been planned. And I mean, most companies talk about risk management, but it's all a paper exercise. But when when I'm doing business that I am doing, where life and death are part and parcel, we cannot just do a paper exercise. And I know many companies, even the Ministry of Education in Singapore, do a lot of risk management on paper, but sometimes they forget that it have to be applied in real life. So there are so many businesses that I've seen open and close, and I'm also glad to continue to be there. So risk becomes a very big thing in any business. So I picked up enterprise risk management. I advise companies. I teach enterprise risk management, and I just decided to focus on data protection and privacy because I felt the trend was growing, especially from 2018 onwards when I was looking for something else to do apart from my businesses that I've been running. I said I want to look at the consulting and risk, and I have to choose one area to niche. One of my mentors was the one who actually put me into this, and he was the one who challenged me and said, you know, Mark, you have got so much experience in running events and being on the ground. You know, you make a very good risk manager because a risk manager is a T-shaped professional, and that's what I want to share with a lot of people out there. A T-shaped professional is a person who knows a little bit of everything, have a whiff of everything, but go deep in one or two topics. So he mentioned to me that he analyzed my whole entire career. Said you have a lot of whiff. You have good knowledge in one area of hospitality, but even then you're not so extremely deep because you've been doing 10,001 events. How about you look at when you're at 38 years old, 37 years old, look at going deep into one topic, and he said, look at risk, because risk is good for you, and a lot of companies need risk. This mentor of mine, he's now 83 years old, and he's an amazing guy. His name is Tiong Wan. Shout out to Tiong Wan out there. So I decided to go down into this risk area and choose to niche in one area, data protection and privacy, because many countries are putting in regulations. Even Indonesia is coming up with a PDPA.
Yep.
When we don't
Yes, with the rise of Toko Crypto and our recent unicorn merger. Yep. So it's, in a sense, if you summarize it, it's like jack of all trade, but be a master of some. Am I right to say that?
One
Or
or two.
is there a better
You
way
tell
to
me
put it?
three also. One or two. Because you tell me you're a master of three also, I don't believe. It's hard. I mean, it's
Man,
very
no.
hard. It's very hard, right?
It's really hard.
So,
It's really
yeah,
hard. You
one,
will go crazy with it.
precisely.
Yeah.
So I chose to
I
decide
was
to
in
move in
sales
the
for
risk.
over 4 years. I'm helping my dad to run his business, and I am a content creator. So it's not easy. You go crazy a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've shared this story before, but it's not that often. When I actually first started creating this, I focused on multiple things to the point that I gone crazy. I really got crazy about it because I don't know how to manage it well enough. And at that time, I decided to, okay, let's find a way that I can streamline the topics, the questions that I ask, what I can learn from it. So yeah, I get where you're coming from that. Okay. In note of that, I actually have two final questions for you, and
Shoot.
one more is actually for the people who could be entering the working world sometime soon or in the midst of a career transition. It's because the thing is that you may not be the Kobe Bryant of the world, whereby you are born, you already know you want to play basketball, and you ended up become a legend in it. So a lot of time people may have to go through a certain transition phase, like what you have gone through. So what is your advice for them for that? And also, it's because, was it an easy transition for you when you converted from an educator to an entrepreneur and as a risk analyst now? Was it an easy transition? And also, what 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 do you carry over from one to the other that helps you to adjust quicker?
I think definitely whatever experience that you have garnered over the years are valuable for your next phase. There's one thing that money can't buy: experience. Because experience is a function of time, and time is one of the most expensive resource, because you can't use any gold, data, or any valuable item to buy it back. So therefore, experience become one of the most valuable asset of any individual. So no matter how young or how old you are, I believe that experience is going to make you a better person, if and only if the person is able to make sense of the experience. Just like data, if you are able to make sense of the data, analyze it, process it, interpret it, and make it useful, then it will be excellent to be used for your next phase. And for people who go for interviews, what do you learn in your last job? Oh, I learned about this. Not just the hard skills. What about the soft skills? What about the people management skills? What about the personal grit that you have experienced? Because if you have gone through life without ups and downs, and you have not had your share of setbacks, how do you overcome this setback? I think that is probably the most important experience that one needs to process and know that, that's going to help me in my next phase. So in any transition, whether it's from a student to the working world, whether it's someone who is changing a job, whether it's someone who is being retrenched because of technology, I think that it's all about the mindset. It's all about how I interpret the past and apply it to the present, so that it becomes useful in the near future. So I saw that data privacy was something that is going to be around for our next 10, 20 years, and therefore I made that decision. But did I have to spend a lot of time to learn? Yes, of course I had to. And the need to continuously learn is definitely common throughout the life journey. You are also learning, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I always learn. I mean, One of the best part about this thing is actually learning a lot of stuff from the my conversation partner, since most of them are, well, are a lot more experienced, a lot more older, and have accomplished a lot more in their career. So and I also learned from a lot of those who are younger than me. I have I have several of them who are the youngest on my show is 22 years old. So
Wow.
she is an author. She is an author. She was recently featured in the news. Her book, her book was actually about her experience about transitioning from growing up in the United States to Indonesia. So that was something really amazing that even I did not have the idea to do.
Wow.
So that was really fun to actually learn it. And I've actually learned there are several key things that I've learned that I actually applied in my work. In fact, one of my past guests, Mr. Eric Fong, was actually the one who taught me to do this when I first started doing it. Is that don't focus on the number of viewers, don't focus on if you can make any money out of it. If this is
That's true.
something that you know is important, if it's something that's worth it, keep doing it, keep pursuing it, keep persevering in it. So eventually, the rest will come as a byproduct of sort.
And you get to learn along the way. You save time by learning not just by yourself, but the way to save time is to learn from other people. Just a
Exactly.
shortcut and life hack. You can't experience it, learn from someone who's gone through it so that you don't make the same mistake, right?
Exactly. I mean, you also have to learn to humble yourself down. Is because,
Yeah.
well, everybody have different level of capabilities. Yeah, maybe you may not experience what the other person will go through, and you have to learn a humble pie. Then you finally realize, oh yeah, what that person said is true. So yeah, this has been a real learning experience for me, and I hope to keep continuing it as much as I can. And at the same time, I do represent a community that is so near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So Mark, this is gonna be your last question,
Okay.
and I always like to end this episode now with the term gratitude. So, through all the things that you have gone through, okay, what have you been most grateful for? And what do you hope others who is listening to this can learn to appreciate as they get older, or maybe they are going through a certain struggles that could be the same as you?
I think the greatest thing most grateful for is okay. That's all a personal level. A personal one is health. I think there's no substitute for health, and because of good health, I was able to do a lot of things that I do, and not just for me, but even the close ones around me. Because if the people around me are not healthy as well, then it would not only affect me financially, but also emotionally and physically. So I think health is one very key component that we and I cannot ignore, because without it, there is no ability to do more, to explore, to experience, to even go out there to test things out. So I'm very grateful for health, and health is something that, well, we can put it as given by your maker, isn't it? Something that you can't really choose. And I always really am very touched when I know someone who's a PWD who makes good of whatever situation he or her is put into. And I learned this coincidentally in Bendemeer Secondary School, the school that you're in. That was the first time in my life I actually interacted and also taught people with disability. And I remember the day, I don't care you disabled or you deaf or you dumb or one leg, one hand, you still hand in your homework. And they did. And I respect that and I thank that. So no matter what physical or medical condition you are, I think we get to count our blessings to know that we are here, we can do something, because I believe in the law of duality. We are either a contributor or we are a taker. We are either part of the problem or part of the solution. Of course, we can't always be part of the solution, right? Sometimes we all need help because people need to give and take, isn't it? And literally give and take. So sometimes we are the solution, sometimes we are the problem. And that's where we seek help. So if we need help, seek help. I think a lot of people are afraid to ask for help. And that's where I've learned to also humble myself to ask for help. And that's where real mentors, real friends, true people would come and give their time, give their advice, and then we grow from there.
All right, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, so that's all the things I have to ask. Mark, anything you want to say?
Well, I'd like to end off this with a quote from a person that I respect a lot of, and I think it's very critical, especially in this time of the pandemic, and also in time to come, because we are going to go into a world that's more and more VUCA, more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And there's one thing that I know will always be the same, and that is integrity. Whatever we do the right thing. And a quote from Sir Buckminster Fuller: integrity is the essence of everything successful. Integrity is the essence of everything successful. Sir Buckminster Fuller, a philosopher, scientist, teacher, and writer.
All right. Before I end, as part of cultural immersion, there's actually an azad beside my house.
A what?
There's a prayer outside my house,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's the prayer.
I see.
All
Right.
right.
So
All
I
right.
wish to
So
also take this opportunity to to tell everyone that in my even my professional work as a data privacy practitioner, it stands from the space of integrity and ethics. We will not we will not have all the need for all these regulations and laws for data privacy, all that, if everyone does the right and responsible thing.
all right.
Mm.
All right.
So back to you.
Sorry. Yeah. Anything else? Sorry, Mark. I think
That's
I
all.
accidentally cut you off. All right.
No worries, I'm good.
All right. For first off, lastly, a shout out to my buddy Ben, who is watching it live. Thanks, man. Yeah. Hope everything is well in Utah. And other than that, for those of you who is watching it later on, replay will be available on my YouTube and my IGTV. And last but not least, do check out an article from Singapore Global Network. I am actually being featured for their newsletter for this month. So that's something new, I guess. And with that, that's the end of Global Citizens, episode 99. Do tune in for the next one, is because it's my milestone 100th episode. I've
Yay!
I've worked nearly 2 years for this. Yeah, this is my brain baby, so I hope to keep continuing it as much as I can. So yeah, that's the end of episode 99 of Global Citizens. How small is a small world after all? Conversation with a teacher turned entrepreneur. So, with that, please take care of yourselves, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Selamat pagi, selamat jalan.
Okay.
Ciao. What else there?